We are now going to begin Chapter 3, Section 3, which focuses on dividing polynomials. There are two methods, long division and synthetic division. This video will focus on long division, and in our next task, we will take a look at synthetic division. The nice thing about long division is that it's very similar to numerical long division, which is something that you've already learned. Just going over some vocab and the setup here. When we're setting up a division problem, the number that we are dividing, so this is called the dividend, would go right here. So we have 675. Again, the term for this is our dividend. And the number that we are dividing by is called the divisor, and that would go on the outside. So 21 is our divisor. And we would like to divide or to find the quotient. In order to do this, we have to ask ourselves how many times can 21 go into 675. So when I'm looking at it, we'll just take it one step at a time. 21 cannot go into 6, but 21 can go into 67, and it can go into 67 a total of 3 times. So I'm going to put a 3 right there. 3 times 21 is 63, so I'm going to subtract that 63, which gives me 4. Then I want to go ahead and bring down the next number. So now I have a 45. And I need to ask myself, how many times can 21 go into 45? Well, that would be twice, because 2 times 21 is 42. And I'm left with a 3. I have no other numbers that I need to bring down. And 21 cannot go into 3. So 3 is what we call a remainder. And we need to write it as our remainder over the divisor. So this gives me 32 and 3 over 21. It just so happens that 3 over 21 can be simplified. So really the quotient is going to be 32 and 1/7. Let's take a look at polynomial long division. Okay. Oops, let me just fix this right here. There we go. The very first thing, so this is step 1, you need to make sure that our divisor is in standard form, as well as our dividend. So when I look here, remember standard form is from highest to lowest power. So it is from highest to lowest power. I can go ahead and write 6x squared plus 7x plus 2. If I were to be missing a term, we would need a placeholder. So let's say I just had 6x squared plus 2. I would have to put a placeholder for the x term, which would be a 0x. We'll see something like that in a later example. But for now, my dividend is right here. My divisor is 2x plus 1. It's the same idea where we're asking ourselves, how many times can this go into this one? Well, in order to do this, I need to ask myself, what can I multiply the 2x by to get this? Okay, I would multiply 2x by a 3x to get 6x squared. See how 2 times 3 would give me the 6, and x times x would give me that x squared. I'm not just multiplying the 2x plus 1. I would have to do 3x times 2x plus 1. So when I multiply this out, that would give me, we go ahead and distribute it, 6x squared, which is what I wanted, and then 3x times 1, which is 3x. We are going to be subtracting these terms. Well, when you subtract, make sure you distribute that negative sign. So this positive would become a negative, and this positive would become a negative, meaning that we are now adding a negative 6x squared and a negative 3x. So this becomes 6x squared minus 6x squared, which gives me 0x squared, and 7 minus 3 is a 4x. We bring down the 2 just like how we would do in the numerical long division. And then I need to ask myself, what do I have to multiply the 2x by to get the 4x? Because if I get the same thing, it's going to cancel out like what we saw here. So I have to multiply 2x by 2 to get the 4x. So I'm multiplying my divisor, 2x plus 1, by 2. Well, 2 times 2x is a 4x. 2 times 1 is 2. So I'm going to subtract that. Remember, when you subtract, you distribute that negative to each term. So this would become a minus, and this would become a minus. 4x minus 4x is a 0x. 2 minus 2 is 0. So everything's canceled out in this case, meaning that we have a remainder of 2. Meaning that my quotient, my final answer, will be a 3x plus 2, because we multiplied by a positive 2. And that's the answer. That's our quotient. It's just going to take some practice. Let's take a look at another one. Okay, so the first parenthesis is going to be our dividend. Remember, we need to make sure it is written in standard form, so highest to lowest power, and in this case, it is not written in standard form. So I'm going to rewrite it as 3x cubed plus 4x squared. And when I look at this, I don't have any x's, but I do have a number 10. So I'm going to have to put a placeholder for the x term, so plus 0x, and then the 10 would follow that. You'll see why placeholders are important as we divide the problem. My divisor is x minus 2, so that needs to go on the outside. And remember, we have to ask ourselves, what do we multiply the x by, so that first term in our divisor, in order to get the first term here, so the 3x cubed? Well, in order to go from here to here, I have to multiply 1 by 3 to get 3, and I have to multiply x by x squared to get x cubed. So I'm multiplying my divisor, x minus 2, by the 3x squared. When I do this, I get, distribute it to both terms, I get a 3x cubed minus 6x squared. We would like to subtract this expression, so I need to distribute the negative. This becomes 3x cubed minus 3x cubed, and then 4x squared plus 6x squared. So these canceled, and this becomes a 10x squared. If it helps, show that the signs are changing. This becomes a positive because we distributed the negative. That positive becomes a negative. This negative becomes a positive. Now I need to bring down the next term, so a plus 0x. That was our placeholder. And I need to ask myself, what do I have to multiply x by to get 10x squared? Well, 1 times 10 would give me 10, so I have a 10 here, and that's a positive, so we're going to be adding. And then x times x would give me my x squared. So we're multiplying the whole divisor, x minus 2, by 10x. Distribute that. So 10x times x would be 10x squared, which is what we wanted, because remember the goal is to cancel this out. And then 10x times a negative 2 is a negative 20x. Once again, we are subtracting, so these would cancel out, and this negative would then become a positive. So it has 0x plus 20x, or a positive 20x. Now we can bring down that 10, so that's a plus 10. We have to ask ourselves, what do I have to multiply the x by to get 20x? And the answer is a positive 20. So I'm multiplying the whole divisor, x minus 2, by 20. Distribute that 20 to each term. That gives me 20x minus 40. Remember, we are subtracting this expression, so we change the signs. This positive becomes a negative, so it's 20x minus 20x, which is 0x. And then this negative becomes a positive, so 10 plus 40 is 50. So 50 is my remainder. Because I cannot multiply x by anything to get the 50, I would have had to divide by x in order to get rid of it. So I'm going to write my final answer as plus the remainder, 50, over the divisor, x minus 2. That would be my quotient, or the answer. Let's try it again. Example 4. We have to make sure that we write it in standard form. So 4th power, 3rd, 2, 1, and then a constant. So it is written in standard form. I have no gaps. I have a 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, 0. So no placeholders are necessary. Just going to go ahead and rewrite it. And then my divisor is x squared plus 3. Remember, we need to ask ourselves, what do we need to multiply the, in this case, x squared by in order to get this first term here, the x to the 4th power? And the answer would just be x squared. So I'm going to multiply my divisor, x squared plus 3, by x squared. Distribute that. That gives me x to the 4th power, and then plus 3x squared. Now notice, this is a 3x squared. Try to line up the powers. This is a 3x cubed. I don't want that. I want to put plus 3x squared. We are subtracting this expression. So these cancel out, and this positive becomes a negative. So I have a negative 3x cubed, and I don't have any x cubed, so that just comes down, negative 3x cubed. And then I have a negative 4x squared minus 3x squared, which is a negative 7x squared. I'm not going to bring this, I do want to bring down this negative x, and we're going to have a gap once again. You'll see what that looks like here in a minute. So now I need to ask myself, what do I multiply the x squared by in order to get a negative 3x cubed? Well, 1 times a negative 3 would give me that negative 3. And to go from x squared to an x cubed, I need to multiply by an x. So negative 3x times x squared plus 3. When I distribute this, I get that negative 3x cubed that I wanted, but then I get a negative 3x times a positive 3, which is a negative 9x. Notice how I lined up my x's together. So I'm subtracting this expression, so these are going to cancel out. I'm bringing down the negative 7x squared, and then I have negative x minus a negative 9. So negative 1 plus 9 is a positive 8x. Bringing down the 8. Take a look at the next video for me to continue example 4.